Hi, and welcome back to EM Hypnosis. I'm Elenique Marie, and today I want to share with you some information that I've discovered about memory and how reliable it truly is. I read a fascinating article. I will link it down below in the comments in case you're interested in knowing more about it. But essentially, the article was explaining that memory is most definitely not as reliable as we believe that it is. And the author uh, says several reasons why. The first thing is, what is memory? And the author says that memory is not only a source of stories that we share with one another, it's also our collective knowledge, our experiences, our learnings are stored in memory, and also our personal sense of identity of this is me, this is who I am, this is my story. That's also contained in our memories. But research has shown that it's not very consistent. It's not very consistent at all. And why? Well, for one, it seems that we add a lot of false details into our memories. One of the examples in the article is, remember when you used to play telephone when you were a little kid and somebody would start with the secret, and by the time the secret made the way all the way around the circle, the story was completely a different story than it had been originally. In fact, it's usually almost like by the end, it was the opposite of what the intention of the original secret was. So it's the same or very similar with memory. Um, because memory is affected not only by when we go into an experience, we bring all our past experiences with us. We bring them to that experience. So, what we already believe about something will play a role in how we remember it. If you're having a conversation or having an experience with someone that you don't like, you're already bringing to it a whole set of belief systems about that person's motivation, why they're doing what they're doing, why they're acting the way they're acting. So you're never actually showing up to what the person is doing, the facts of what the person is doing. We're coming to that experience with the story and belief systems that we already hold about that person. And that's going to shape our memory in a particular way, both for the positive and for the negative. A second thing is that what we bring to memories is a lot of times what we wish was true. So we may remember a parent in a very flattering light. It can happen sometimes when people have divorced parents, and the mother might have a perception of the father vastly different than the memory that the child will have of the father during the years that the family was together. And the mother might have a very negative impression, and the child might have a completely different impression based upon the child's desire to remember things in a particular way, not to have those same emotions out of a deep desire for a happy childhood. Another thing that can affect memory is what other people have said to you about what happened. So I know a lot of times my mom and I and the family will be sitting around together and we'll be talking about something, and they'll be like, yeah, because remember when you were 3 years old, you used to love to do this or that, or, and I don't remember it clearly. I don't remember it. But then over time, as I remember that birthday party or that Christmas, those bits and pieces that she said to me about how I used to be or what I used to do become embedded in my memory as if they were my memories. So just what someone says to you can affect how you remember something. And also, our memories are affected by what we want to think about things. So there's a lot of wishful thinking in there, or what we want someone else to think. So when we're telling a story, depending on who the audience is and why we're telling them the story, and if we want to have compassion from people, or we want to achieve a certain aim, how you tell the story will change depending on who the audience is. That's why we tell children's stories one way, and when we have the conversation, a mom and dad will talk to a child about something that happened with one kind of language, and they will tell that story completely differently to each other in a different kind of language, given who the audience is. And so what all this adds up to, I'm sorry, I just want to make sure that I'm hitting all these points for you, is that storytelling is different based on all these factors that I've just discussed with you. The story changes, and as the story changes, so does the memory. And one of the things that I found very interesting that the author of the article says is that memory is kind of like ice cream. You have that ice cream in the freezer, and then you take it out of the freezer and you put it on the counter where the sunlight will hit it. And in about 10-15 minutes, the ice cream is soft and you're able to scoop it into your cup. But then when you put that ice cream back in the freezer, it's not exactly the same ice cream that came out of the freezer, right? It's a little more melted. It's a little bit, the shape has changed, the texture has changed. So in reality, our memories, the more we take them out of the freezer, our minds, the more they change. They change with how we feel every time we revisit them. Who's around when we visit them? Who are we telling it to? With what intention are we sharing that memory? And the last way you look at a memory is the first way you will remember it the next time. Okay, it's like, or think about your search bar on the computer, that the last search you did, when you start typing in those first few letters, that's what's going to pop up. So even the more you revisit a memory, the less reliable it actually becomes. And we would tend to think the opposite, right? The more we think of something, the more we remember it. But it's actually not true. And also, if you think about context, I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but have you ever turned the volume off on a scary movie when it's the really scary parts? I know I do. I hate scary movies, but I like to turn the volume off so that it scares me less. And I've noticed that when I turn the volume off, I have a completely different relationship to the images on the screen. So something like sound will change how images are processed and brought into the mind and stored within the mind. So that's another very powerful technique to observe just how powerful context is for our memories. And so it's interesting to consider how much of our best memories, how much of them are truly true, and how much of our most traumatic and difficult and painful memories are really true. And the reason that I want to share this with you today is because I invite you to revisit the memories that are not serving you, the belief systems and the ways of being and stories that you're telling yourself and telling others that are really holding you back from feeling the joy, the peace, the happiness, the power, the empowerment that you want to feel. Look at those stories, and when you're about to tell yourself that story, I want you to ask yourself, is it really real? Is this really, really real? Or is this just what I've been telling myself? And if I'm telling myself something that isn't helpful, can I start to tell myself something that is? That's what we do in hypnotherapy. We go back to those memories, we heal them, and we rescue that part of you that is stuck in a story, in a way of perceiving the world that maybe isn't helpful to you now. But you don't need a hypnotist to do that. You don't need a hypnotherapist. You just need to be mindful. The next time a thought comes up into your mind, or you start telling yourself a story about why you can't achieve this or why you can't do that, I want you to question it and ask yourself, is this really true? Does this serve me? And if it doesn't, hey, take that ice cream out of the freezer, let it melt, and make your own story. Make your own Sunday that makes sense to you and makes you feel happy about being alive. Well, I guess that's my cue to end this video. I do apologize for the phone ringing. I didn't realize I hadn't turned it off. But have a wonderful day. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. I would love to continue to share this journey of all things subconscious and conscious and mind and growth and personal growth and ultimately wholeness. And until next time, I hope that you are well wherever you are in the world. Have a good day.